The desert had swallowed 3 caravans that season, and still 16-year-old Mira pressed her face against the wooden gate every dawn, watching the traders leave. So when Mira whispered one evening, "Mother, I want to walk with the next caravan," Vasuda's hands stopped grinding turmeric and something cold moved through her chest. "You will stay," she said, and her voice carried no argument. Vasuda believed she was doing what love required. She kept Mira inside the walls, taught her to count coins and weigh saffron, gave her every comfort, shade, shelter, safety. But one afternoon a monk with dust on his robes and calm in his eyes sat beneath the neem tree outside her stall. Said something Vasuda did not want to hear. "You are not protecting her. You are teaching her she cannot survive without your protection." Vasuda felt anger rise like heat. "You do not know what I have lost." The monk nodded slowly. "Loss is not the enemy. The fear of loss, that is what builds the cage." He spoke quietly, almost to himself. "Everything you cling to becomes the wall around the person you love. Tanha, that desperate craving to control what we cannot control, does not create safety. It creates fragility. The more you shield someone from impermanence, the more impermanence terrifies them. I am Kunal, and I have felt this exact pull, that urge to hold everything still, to keep the people I love small and close and safe, and then the slow painful realization that love sometimes means letting someone walk straight into the storm you survived." Vasuda said nothing that night. She sat beside Mira's sleeping face, soft and untroubled, and thought about 2 kinds of people: the traders who crossed the desert and came back sunburned and laughing, and the ones who never once left home yet still walked around looking afraid. 3 days later the largest caravan of the year gathered at Dhanu's edge. 40 camels. 12 armed riders. A route through the worst stretch of sand anyone had crossed in years. Mira stood at the gate again. But this time she did not just watch. She turned to her mother and said, "I am going." And Vasuda, for the first time in her life, had no wall left to build, only a question she could not answer: was letting go the truest act of love, or the beginning of everything she feared most? At dawn she walked to the gate where Mira stood with a small cloth bag, eyes bright and terrified at the same time. The monk was still beneath the neem tree. Vasuda looked at him and said, "If I let her go and something happens, I will never forgive myself." The monk did not soften. He said the hardest thing anyone had ever said to her. "And if you keep her here and nothing ever happens to her, will you forgive yourself for the life she never lived?" But she looked at her daughter's hands, soft, untested, trembling, and she saw the indoor plant, beautiful but brittle, snapping at the first wind it had never learned to bend against. Mira walked into the caravan line without looking back, and Vasuda stood at the gate for 3 hours after the dust settled. 41 days passed. A sandstorm hit Dhanu. Vasuda imagined the worst every single night. Then the caravan returned. Mira climbed down from a camel with cracked lips, sunburned arms, and steadier eyes than Vasuda had ever seen in her own mirror. She had lost weight. She had a scar across her left palm from gripping a rope during a storm. But when a trader shouted near her she did not flinch. She held his gaze and answered back. Vasuda hugged her daughter and felt something she did not expect: grief. Not because Mira was hurt but because the soft helpless girl she had built was gone, and this new Mira did not need the walls Vasuda had spent years perfecting. She gained a daughter who could survive. She lost the one who needed her completely. The Buddhist principle beneath this story is Upadana. Clinging, attachment disguised as devotion. I am Kunal, and I think the bravest thing my own mother ever did was stop answering a question I asked her so that I would be forced to find the answer with my own bruised hands. Subscribe to the Mind of Buddha. See you in the next one.